Good morning. Today we are going to start a new chapter, The Living World. Children, in this chapter we are going to study about the classification of the living organisms, then its biodiversity, then the archaebacteria, taxonomy and nomenclature. So let's start with the living things. So on this earth, two things are present, living and non-living. Living animate or non-living inanimate. Now living beings, they are called as organisms and they are defined as complex unit of physico-chemical materials. Why they are said? Because they are capable of growth, reproduction, metabolism. They have the ability to sense the environment and they have the ability to give according to the environment their response. So what are the characteristics of all living organisms? Let us study. So all living organisms, they grow. So children, you know that increase in mass and increase in number, these are the two characteristics of the growth of an individual. And all organisms, they are able to grow. A multicellular organism, they grow by cell division, the mitotic or meiosis. Whereas in plant, growth occurs throughout their life. In animal growth, it occurs up to certain age, and after the cell division, the certain tissues, they are replaced the lost cells. Now growth in unicellular organisms, it also done and it increase in cell mass. So all living organisms, they show growth from inside. Now non-living objects like mountains, sand dunes, they also grow, but the growth is due to the accumulation of the material on their surface. That means whatever material is accumulated on the surface of the mountain, on the surface of the sand, then it grows in size. But the growth cannot be taken as a defining product of living system. So growth is the only characteristics of living organism. Next is reproduction. So all organisms, living organisms, they show reproduction process. Either they are multicellular or they are unicellular. Sometimes organisms reproduce sexually and sometimes they reproduce asexually. Fungi, they multiply and they spread by producing millions of spores through asexual method, whereas flatworms, they regenerate from their fragmented part. Fungi or filamentous algae, they also multiply by fragmentation process. And unicellular organisms, they reproduce and growth, they are synonymous. That means that is increase in number of cells. Many organisms like mules, sterile worker bee, then warblers, infertile human couples, they do not reproduce and their reproduction cannot be as defined as a characteristics of living organism. But as a matter of fact, no living object can reproduce or replicate. So reproduction is another characteristics of a living organism. The metabolism is a characteristic of life. Now you know children that all animals, whether they are plant or animals, all organisms, they are made up of chemicals and they are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Now these are called as biomolecules. Now these are constantly made in the body of organism and it is called metabolic reactions. Now, thousands of such reactions that are taking place inside the living organism. All plants and animals, either they are the microorganisms, they carry out all these chemical reactions in their body. So, this is known as metabolic reactions. Now, metabolic reactions, they can also be performed outside in the cell-free system, but isolated metabolic reaction, it can only perform in the body of an organism, neither in the living nor in the non-living. Okay? Now the isolated metabolic reaction in vitro are just living reactions. So metabolism is again the important function of or characteristic of a living organism. The living beings, they have a cellular organization. That means all living cells, either they are the unicellular or the multicellular, they are start from a single cell. Now, some basic structure and functions of these cells are same. So, cellular organization of the body is the defining features of the living forms. Now, all living organism has consciousness. Now, the most important and the most complicated feature of all living beings is that they can sense their surroundings or environment and they respond according to the environmental stimuli, either the physical, chemical or biological. Now, this is known as consciousness. Children, you know we sense our surroundings with the help of our sense organs, and you all know that what are sense organs. So there are 5 sense organs in animals. Now, photoperiod, that is the suppression of the light effects, reproduction in seasonal breeders, then both in plants and animals. Now, plants also respond according to the external factors like light, water, temperature, pollutants and other organisms. And all organisms, they handle chemicals entering in their body. So, human beings are the only organism who is aware of their surroundings and they are self-conscious. So, self-conscious can also be an important factor of all living beings. Now, come to biodiversity or diversity in the living world. Diversity means that we have enormous variety and diversity in living organisms. Now, scientists, they have defined these biodiversity or diversity around living organisms. Near about 1.7 to 1.8 millions of species are found on this planet. Now, out of these, 1.2 million are animals and 0.5 million are plant species. Now, the single group of insects, they are of plants and animals. This group contains about 1.025 million of species, and every year 15,000 new organisms are discovered. So around 5 to 30 million species of organisms, they exist on this planet. Now, destruction of the forest and the reefs, they may also lead to the extinction of these animals or plants on this earth. So in India, Silent Valley rainforest, it has been saved from submergence due to the proposed dam across river Kuntiza. Classification of living organisms. Now, classification of all these living organisms, it is known as biological classification, and in this process, children, we have classified the animals according to their observable characters, and the scientific term used for these categories is the taxa, like plants, animals, bacteria. They include in the separate categories are the taxa. So what is the history of biological classification? Let's start. Now, this classification of the organism, it is very old concept, and it was also done in old human culture. They started giving the names according to the animal and the plants, and they classified according to their use. Our Vedic literature, it recorded around 740 plants and 250 animals. Now, the first classification which was attempted or observed in Chandogya Upanishad, who classified the animals into 3 categories. Jivaja, viviparous animals, that means birth-giving animals, example mammals. Andaja, oviparous, like birds, reptiles, and insects and worms. Then Udbija, vegetable origin, that means minute animals. In post-Vedic Indian literature such as Sruta, Samhita, all living forms are classified into Sthavara or immobile, that is plants, and Jangama, that is mobile. Sthavara means the thing which are not movable, that means plants, and Jangama, that means mobile, which show locomotion or movement, example animals. Now again, plants were also again divided into Vanaspati or the food yielding plants and Vriksha or the fruit yielding flowering plants. Now Ausadi are the plants which gives medicine. So Sutra Samhita, it also classified animals into Kulakara, herbivores, and which visit river banks frequently, like elephants and buffaloes, Matsya, fish, Jangala, wild herbivores, and Gusaya, carnivores. Okay. Now this was the history of Indian biological classification. Now come to Greek classification. What does the Greeks said? Hippocrates or Aristotle, an ancient Greek of 4th and 3rd century BC, they made earlier efforts to classify the living organism. Now they classified the animals and the plants according to the characters. Theophrastus, the father of botany, he wrote in his book Historia Plantarium, classified plants on the basis of the habitat, form and texture into 4 categories. Those are the shrubs, trees, shrubs, undershrubs and herbs. Now early Greeks, they classified the plants and animals according to the habit and habitat, like aquatic, terrestrial, aerial, or carnivorous, herbivorous, oviparous, viviparous. Again, another Greek scientist, Aristotle, he also classified the animals and the plants according to the morphological similarities, and he created a group and species. Now this system of classification is known as artificial system of classification because it is based on the external morphological similarities. In India, Charak, who is known as the father of Ayurveda, he enumerated around 200 animals and 340 plants which are of medicinal importance, and in his book Charaka Samhita, he wrote Indian medicines. John Gray, he was an English naturalist. He also introduced the concept of species and natural system of classification, which is also based on the morphological similarities. Now he collected around 18,000 of plant species from the various parts of the Europe, and he also described this in his 3-volume book Historia Generalis Planetarum. Now the great naturalist Carolus Linnaeus, he is known as the father of taxonomy. Now he introduced the current system of naming the organism, and according to him, he write 2 names. Now this system of naming the organism, it is known as binomial system of nomenclature, and he described around 5,900 species of plant in his book Species Planetorum, and about 4,200 of animal species in his book Systema Naturae. So why we need classification? Because there are variety of plant and animals on this earth. So to get the better name, to get the better study, the need of classification is there. So arranging and grouping the plants and animals in a definite plan makes the study of living organisms easy. So by selecting the representative group, we can get the idea of a life and the world they can achieve. So without a particular method of classification, it would be dealing with a large library who had many books but without any classification, and they are arranged according to the title or subject or author. So grouping of animals or the grouping of organisms, it gives a definite plan which is useful in following. Now it makes the study of different organisms very convenient. It facilitates the identification of organisms. It also shows the relationship among the animals which are placed, animals or plants which are placed in a particular group or a species. Then biological classification, it also shows the evolutionary trend in various groups of organisms. Now, it also helps in interpreting the poorly developed structures of the fossil organism, and study of a few representatives of group. It gives the general characteristics of that group. Now, 3 domains of life. This we'll study in next class. Thank you and have a nice day.